All right, well, let's get right into the news.
Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. North South American. All the ships and clippers at sea. Let's go to press. Fly.
News.
There's a really interesting Kickstarter that's out right now, and when you listen to this podcast, you're going to have maybe 3 days left to kick it if you want to. It is a three for one: Factory Funner, Bear Raid, and Ghosts of Christmas. If you are an aficionado of the hobby and know your stuff, you might know one of those titles. You might know Factory Funner. Let's just get into it. Here's the deal. These three games are really interesting. I can speak to two of them anyway. Mm-hmm. First, let's start with Ghosts of Christmas. Ghosts of Christmas is a trick-taking card game. So hearts, spades, teach you, that kind of stuff. But it has a time travel element in that when you are playing each round, you are playing three separate tricks: past, present, and future. Right?
That's pretty cool.
It's based on this Japanese game that I've heard about for a long time called Time Palatrix. By Taiki Shinzawa. And I'd heard about this game for a long time, never got the chance to play it. This is basically a redo of that super hard to find game, and they themed it Ghost of Christmas, Ghost of Christmas Past, Ghost of Christmas Present, Ghost of Christmas Future. I haven't played Time Palatrix, so I can't say, but everything I've heard about it sounds like it is one of the most brain-burnery card games you'll ever play. And given that this guy loves Tichu, I absolutely adore Tichu. I'll play hearts, I'll play spades any day. I really love those games. And, no amount of this hobby seems to be at all impacting that sort of love that came before all of this. That might be a reason alone for me to hop in on this one for sure. Then there is Factory Funner. Factory Funner is a game that it's kind of like a cult classic game. Corne van Moorsel designed it a while back, and it's a really interesting tile laying game where you're laying these hexagonal tiles on a factory floor, and each of them have different colored inputs in different segments. And so what you need to do is you are trying to connect all of the machines up by matching up the different colored inputs to the different piping that goes throughout the place. Now, there's a reason that I don't own this game. I don't own this game because the traditional way to play this game is real time. So it is. Did you ever play Galaxy Trucker, Elder?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Galaxy Trucker. You're reaching into the center and grabbing the piece that you need and putting it on your board before somebody else puts it on their board. And that is something that some people love and some people hate. And in our gaming group, we have multiple people that do not like that feeling, the feeling that they get of time pressure. They feel like, you know what, I get enough anxiety in my life. I don't need that.
Right. Yep.
But I gotta say, if you like that kind of thing, it's really good. And evidently, they've got a version of it now that is not real time. That is more spread out. And so that's pretty cool.
I've played this one. Coincidentally, who I mentioned before, Dave Mines, who's in my my gaming groups, he introduced me to it. He loves spatial puzzles. He's a programmer. So I played it, and I actually remember it being pretty fun. Again, not really my type of game,
right?
But that said, it was very interesting. I dare say I've never played anything quite like it.
Oh yeah, it is. The way I would put it is actually weirdly, it is space. Space Truckers? What is the
Galaxy
Truckers? Galaxy Truckers.
Yeah.
It is Galaxy Truckers meets Pipeline in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Isn't it? That's what the game is, and man, that's a delight. And look, I've got a big collection of games, and I love my big collection of games. So when I'm trying to decide what to pull the trigger on, it's a different calculation for me, right? It's like when I look at a lot of games, I'm like, oh, well, that seems a little bit like this, or it seems a little bit like this. It's like, do I really need another 4-player game that does that, right? And a lot of times the answer is no. I mean, it's great, it's good. I'd like to play it, but do I want to own it? Do I want to hang on to it, or is it something that I would have to sell right afterwards, and so on and so forth? This kind of thing, though, Factory Funner is not like anything else, right? We can describe it as this meets this, but it's a very different game. So this and Ghosts of Christmas alone, that's kind of an auto buy for me, because it finds a spot in my collection that I don't have yet.
Right. And then there's yet a third game.
Yeah, and there is a third game in this bunch too. Bear Raid. I didn't know anything about Bear Raid, and then I found out it's designed by Ryan Courtney, the designer of Pipeline.
Oh, wow.
And Curious Cargo, by the way.
Right.
And it is a stock market game. It's a stock market manipulation game. It involves dice. It seems like, and all these games are short, by the way. These are games that every single one of them should be 40 minutes or less. Like, this may be an amazing filler combo that you can get. And I got to tell you, I backed it. I'm going for it. I got to check all this out. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, you piqued my interest. I might be clicking the back button on this.
Yeah. I mean,
this looks like a really good, and again, I'm a sucker for, being a visual artist myself, an animator.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of a sucker for, good graphic art. And this stuff looks beautiful, man.
Don't they all? All of them look gorgeous.
All of them. The colors, the design for each one of them. I mean, it's like I almost want to just back it, well, and just for the collection, just for how the stuff looks,
Does it? I mean, to your eye, because much as an animator, way better than me. There seems to be a lot of Japanese influence in the design of these things. The cleanliness of the the typography and the lines and the artwork. It just there's something about it that feels a little Japanese to me.
Yeah, it's very clean. It's a very graphic style.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Bear game. It kind of like, almost has this what's that kind of art? The old like industrial kind of German propaganda posters, which I love that style of art.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I love stock market mechanics too, and this just seems like a nice little, you know what I mean? I don't like them to be too heavy necessarily.
A stock market game that plays in 40 minutes, how bad can it be, right? That's interesting.
Like that just seems like a great reference for just, again, talking about, game design.
Totally.
Having a nice reference for, a stock market mechanic. I'm going to back it too, dude. Just 4 days, I'm going to get this.
Totally,
so
right?
Good. Yeah.
Oh,
looks
man.
Good. Looks like a real value.
Next up, Reiner Knizia is back in our feed here. He's got a new game coming out called The Siege of Roondar. So since time immemorial, the mines of Roondar have supplied gold to generations of dwarves. Oh man, come on! Why's it got to be fantasy? I don't mind. I'm okay. A Mines of Moria game I'd be into. I'm all right with that. So today, only a handful of them remain, guarding the fortress surrounding the entrance to the old, depleted mine, or so it was thought. This group of dwarves have been fortunate enough to accidentally stumble on a new vein of the purest gold, and they have managed to extract a small treasure. Unfortunately, just as they're about to set off for their nearest stronghold, they discover that orcs have surrounded Roondar and are about to attack, to do anything they need to do to get this precious metal. This is a Reiner Knizia game that is a cooperative 4-player game of essentially kind of tower defense. You're defending the walls of Roondar long enough to get the gold and get yourselves out, to tunnel your way out a back passage. it is hand-to-hand combat using a deck-building system. You can upgrade weapons and tools. I mean, I don't even know what to do with this. This is such an interesting combination of elements. Like, Reiner is not really... I mean, I've never seen Reiner do a deck builder. I have a hard time thinking of Reiner doing a cooperative game. Have you? Can you think of anything?
The Hobbit is the only one I can think of.
Yeah, that's about it, right?
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. We don't know much about it yet, except that it's supposed to be coming out in 2021, and I'm looking very much forward to finding out more about the Siege of Roondar.
Yeah, I want to play this. It's like he was my first favorite designer. Reiner.
Me too. Me too.
He's definitely got a place in my heart, and glad to see he's still kicking around and coming out with new games. And yeah, it's exciting to have this master designer play in some design spaces that he's never done before. I don't think he's ever done a deck builder either. Do you know of one that he's done?
No, I don't. I don't know if he's ever explored that particular form. I mean, listen, the good doctor, Dr. Knizia, is a mathematician, right? He's got a PhD in math. So a lot of his designs, have a very mathy construct at the base of it, right? Like, it's interesting the way this formula spreads out, and there's a game in that. That's kind of seems to be the way he thinks in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. So, a deck construction sort of thing. There's math in there too. It's just probably not the first thing that he thinks of.
Right. By the way, I was thinking the other game I was considering for this one in terms of, kind of like an old classic hidden gem.
Yep.
Was Amun-Re.
Oh, so good.
So maybe we'll put that on the list for one of the upcoming. Yeah.
You know what? I remember playing Amun-Re about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Sort of going back, and it wasn't as loved as I remembered it.
Okay,
which is interesting. But listen, I like the fact that you and I like going old school a little bit and going back to the roots. And Reiner Knizia was my first favorite designer as well. I mean, he had this period in the early days when he could do no wrong. I mean, everything he was coming out with was Tigris and Euphrates and modern art, and even the smaller ones like Through the Desert and Samurai. I mean, they're all amazing games. Taj Mahal, holy cow. And then he had a time when his field was fallow. He was designing too many games. He'd come out with like eight games a year. They can't all be winners. Right. But lately he's been kind of coming back. There's been a lot of interesting things that Yellow and Yangtze, et cetera, et cetera. He's been doing a lot of really cool stuff recently, I guess, in a sort of Stefan Feld way as well, right? I mean, started off amazing, everything was a hit, and then not so much, and now he's starting to come back too, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, nice to see that happen. When like talent,
because
that's another thing that I've just been kind of really reflecting on the last couple of weeks is that there's ups and downs in life. It's just how it is. If everything stays the same, that means you're dead.
Totally. I mean, isn't that a lesson for 2020, right?
Oh, yeah, man.
Change it up. It up. Speaking of cooperative, Spirit Island has an expansion called Branch and Claw that is now available on Steam. So if you are playing your Spirit Island online on Steam, check out Branch and Claw. I can't speak much to it because I haven't played it myself, but wanted everyone to know that it is out there. And let's end with one more. Let's talk about Hippocrates by Alain Orban. If you know the name Alain Orban, it's because Maddie's favorite game is Trois, and that is designed by Alain Orban. In 2021, it's coming out, and Hippocrates, who is the most famous doctor in history, right? The first doctor, kind of, people say. And interestingly enough, it's a weird theming. I have a theory about this. So Hippocrates is basically about having patients come into your Greek hospital figuring out triage, right? Who do we treat first? Who do we treat later? Paying your doctors, right? Purchasing the medicine, the ingredients that they need to treat them, and so on and so forth. So it's a hospital management game. This is Dice Hospital. This is Clinic. So it feels like he was designing this game for a long time, like really dialing it in, and Clinic comes out, and like all of a sudden a bunch of hospital games come out, and he's like, oh damn, all right, what do I do now? How do I retheme this? And so he goes, oh well, let's go back to ancient Egypt. Let's go to the very first medical facility. Let's go to the first hospital and do it that way. It's really interesting. Like first of all, I'll just say this: I would love to review Clinic because I think it's an interesting game. I played Dice Hospital at Essen, and I thought it was okay, but not great. So I'm still waiting for a great game about hospital management because I think there's an amazing game there. It is a theme that has urgency built into it, and the complexities of the things you need to do to keep people alive are intense and deep. So I hope very much that this is that game that I've been waiting for. Certainly looks interesting.
I think they have I'm trying to look it up now, but I think they have a COVID expansion for Clinic.
Really? I got sent the deluxe edition, and I'm dying to get a review on it, but of course the COVID shut everything down. But COVID expansion for that might be really interesting. Yeah, it's just such a rich area that games haven't touched, and that's my favorite thing, right? My favorite thing is give me a theme, give me a setting that I haven't seen before, right? Container comes out, and I'm all over it. Like, yeah, dude, shipping containers. I want to feel what it's like to manage a major shipyard. That's it. Absolutely, 100%. I am all in. Pipeline,
so good.
Pipeline. I want to teach me how to refine oil. I want to feel like I'm a petroleum engineer for the next 2 hours.
Yeah. I love the one you just mentioned. Container.
Yeah.
Containers. So and it's actually that's one of the games that is actually way better to play online and play on TTS.
Is that right?
It's because it's just the visual of on TTS they have basically a play surface that looks like the ocean, and you're moving your ships around, and you can move the camera around, and it's just it just adds a whole nother dimension to the experience of Container. It's great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, you very well might enjoy the other videos you now see being suggested to you on screen. Also, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could like, share, or subscribe to our Game Brain channel. Thanks so much.